It's funny being in the public eye and doing these sorts of things. I get questions quite often of, don't you feel, and I know it's coming, whenever a close friend or even just a, general friend or someone I'm in relationship with says, I always go, And then I hear, do you ever feel, then I really know what's coming, like, do you feel humiliated about what you've done? Do you feel like humiliated when people recognize you? And I've had some really good friends start conversations with, how? And then they take this pause because, right? This is the world that I live in, but for them, this isn't a world that they're accustomed to. So they kind of go, I had heard, and some of you ask me questions, what do you feel internally? And do you feel humiliated and all that stuff? And there's always going to be something inside of me that goes, yeah, I know who I am, and I'm okay. I'm fine. I didn't used to be. It's taken a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of money to do repair work internally in my heart and in my head. And I am thrilled with the healing that I've experienced. Today I want to really help you who feel humiliated, either by betrayal or by the choices that you've made to betray your mate or spouse, and you experience this sense of humiliation. Now, the roads are a little bit different in terms of healing and repair and gaining your sense of confidence and courage back. It is different to a certain extent. I try and keep these videos relatively short, and I'm going to give you the best that I can give you today for both sides. It won't be exhaustive, but it will be from the heart and it will be from experience. It would take too long to tell you some of the stories that are relatively gut-wrenching but somewhat humorous now. I had a gentleman find out who I was. We were in the middle of this potential big business deal. Everything went great. Called me back for a separate meeting. All the investors were like, oh, this is great. This is a good sign. No, it wasn't. It was a confrontation of, look, I've read this about you. I've read that about you. I don't know that I can be in business with you. And the deal, which was very lucrative for all parties, fell apart. And I had to go back and explain why it did. That was fun. I've had people gossip left and right. I've had people say things to me that really were pretty humiliating. I've had, in the middle of a big party, and there was lots of alcohol involved with a bunch of coaches, I had someone decide that they were going to air my dirty laundry. And it was, I think, probably the most debilitating public kind of moment that I've ever walked through. I will tell you, I handled it like a champ and it went very well. On the other side of it, it was a long night when I was alone at home and had to think through it. But how I responded, I'm very proud of. You too may or may not have experienced incredible humiliation. I will tell you, if you're in the middle of a big church, that can be one of the most horrendous exposures that you've ever experienced. The Bible's very clear about restoration. It's really very clear when someone's repentant or when someone's willing to really repent, accept their consequences, and kind of bow out. And I understand when someone's unrepentant, it's a little bit of a different story. I get that. Today we're talking, though, about what it feels like to be humiliated, either by being betrayed or making the choice to be unfaithful. Here are some ways that I have been able to deal with intense shame. Suicidal shame. Shame that makes you drink a lot of alcohol. Shame that makes you want to crawl up in the fetal position and never get out of bed. Shame that makes you send the kids off to school, and if your spouse works, have them go to work and want to sit on the couch and really just kind of think or escape all day long, hiding in a little hallway of your soul where you feel like there's no hope, no love, no redemption, no coming back from this, and that you'll never, ever be happy again. There's a level of depression and hopelessness and despair that comes from this type of abuse if you've been subjected to it, or this type of incredible pain you have brought upon your own life. It hurts in ways that I'm hoping I'm doing a decent job of describing. Essentially, it's vital that you understand you are not alone. Everything that you have felt on either side is 100% normal. The hopelessness, the wanting to check out, the struggling to find a reason to live, especially if you don't have kids. It's all very understandable. But here are some ways that I have found, either in my own experience or through study or through training or through helping others, that I think you will find to be very helpful. Number one is I have found the ability to rest in my relationship with God. Now, I do come from a faith perspective. I have found incredible solace in being able to rest in the fact that God still loves me, though I have done some horrible things and made some terrible choices in my life. If you don't come from faith, it is essential that you are able to do your own repair work so that you can eventually respect yourself again. I have found that it is much easier to respect yourself if you are willing to do whatever it takes to heal from what you have brought upon your own life or from what has been dealt to you. There is an incredible amount of self-respect that you begin to experience when you start to do repair work and you start to work on you and you start to feel this sense of, hey, I'm going to be okay. And it's one day at a time. And you start to do recovery work and you go, you know what? This happened or that happened, or I did what I did, but you know what? I'm getting back up again. That's true for the betrayed. It's true for the unfaithful. As you start to get back up again, whether it be crawl, whether it be kneel, or whether it be you stand on your own 2 feet, the fact is, getting up again starts to feel really good eventually. This one's just for the unfaithful. Mostly, I have experienced great liberation in forgiving myself for what I have done. It takes time, it takes expert care, but you absolutely are going to have to be willing to forgive yourself for the choices that you have made that have devastated so many people around you. If you're a betrayed, there are moments where you may need to feel like you need to go through healing to forgive yourself for some of the things that you did or didn't do. That's not a universal truth, but that is something that happens from time to time. It is incredibly freeing when you can forgive yourself for the choices that you have made. It doesn't mean that what you did was okay or acceptable. It just means that you are going to extend mercy to yourself, forgive yourself, and start to move forward, living a better life, a healthier life, a more compassionate life. Another factor that has really helped me heal and really helped bring about security in my own life is the fact that I have owned what I have done. I've also owned what I did not do. I did experience a lot of self-loathing for a while, and I, yes, had a lot of self-pity and even self-absorption. But there was this timeline that I was on where I was able to own what I had done and not make excuses for it, not continue to defend it or any of that, but to simply own what I had done and stand my ground on what I did not do. You see, as you own what you've done, as you embrace it, you're able to come to a greater level of acceptance. And it doesn't mean that you have this brazen confidence that is of the mentality that says, I have been forgiven by God and everybody else needs to forgive me. Yeah, that's void of compassion, void of humility, does not take into account that your choices have violated other people's lives and ripped the rug right out from underneath them. And in many cases, if you're going to take that mentality, let me just remind you that the Lord will require restitution in many places, in many ways. The Lord is going to really look for you to own what you've done with humility and compassion, and for us to continue to think that we don't need to make amends oftentimes is a gross mistake. Another key factor, and maybe one of the biggest, is the fact that I don't have to manage my image anymore. You see, I was a master at managing my image and really protecting how I came off and what I did or didn't do and how I was treated and not treated. Let me just say, I have completely destroyed the image that I was trying to uphold. And that's usually what we do. We try and maintain this phenomenal image only to destroy it by our infidelity. And for me, I don't have to manage that anymore. I don't have to live up to this unattainable standard that makes me feel better about myself because I'm so frail and insecure. I've owned what I've done. I'm doing my part to give back as best I can, and I really don't have time. I'm too old. I've experienced the loss of everything. I don't need to manage my image anymore. I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to do all I can to be the best man I can, to really honor my inner circle, which is my next factor to help really defeat humiliation, is I have an inner circle. I'm going to do everything I can to honor God, to honor Samantha, and to honor my kids. And then there's everybody else. That inner circle, yes, I have 4 or 5 incredibly close friends, so does Samantha, but I make those people who are most important in my life. I don't have to manage this image to please everybody. I don't have to make everybody love me. There's thousands of people that, based upon their comments, are not a big fan of what we do here. That's okay. That's their freedom. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for the people that are experiencing redemption and joy and healing. Whether you are betrayed or whether you're unfaithful, humiliation stalks you early on. It just does. And it's okay, because you do have the ability to fight back. And it's not always going to feel like this. I promise you. To the degree that you do your own personal repair work is directly proportionate to the degree of self-confidence and self-love that you will experience in your own timeline of recovery. So be diligent to work on you. Be committed to helping you heal. Maybe you were the unfaithful and you brought this upon your own life. Get serious about your own healing and watch your self-confidence. Watch the personal healing explode in your life. If you're a betrayed spouse and you feel this enormous shame and dishonor and humiliation for what's been done to you, understand it's normal, but understand it's not going to be like that forever. And as you do your own repair work, and as you commit to the process with an incredible, courageous dedication, you are going to experience healing. You're not going to stay trapped by humiliation. You don't need to. You can both get to the other side and experience forgiveness, mercy, self-love, and a courageousness that seems impossible right now. But I promise you it's there for you.